So you've got a really good idea and you maybe have some qualification in the area you've got the idea in, but you're not a technical founder. How do you then convince the investor that you've got the ability to do that?
If you're a non-technical founder and you're on your own, then it's going to cause you two problems. The first is your ability to show sort of traction. So the purpose of fundraising is to raise money. The money buys you time to divert resources in which to prove something. I've brought a product to market, I've got my first customer, like whatever it might be. And so if you are able to build the first version of your product, then you could stay in your full-time job and build it on the weekends and in the evenings. So you can make progress ahead of raising money, which will help you when it comes to raising money, because you've come in with a bunch of, not just an idea, but like a bunch of progress that you've sort of made. So that's the first problem you've got if you're not technical and what you're trying to build is technical. The second problem, and I've been this founder, I founded a gaming company and I'm not an engineer, but I would go to bed thinking about the product. I'd wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning thinking about the product, and I wouldn't be able to make the change that I thought it needed, because in the struggle for product market fit, it is extremely sort of psychologically taxing, and you need short cycles to test and validate the things that you're thinking of. And I would have to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, write down the thing that I thought was the solution to the problem that we were facing, get on a tube at 8, get in at 9, wait for my CTO to arrive at 9:30, try and describe what it is that I'd like. And by the point that he's trying to, implement it, then, a lot has been lost, not just in terms of time, but in terms of like clarity. So, being able to invent and make things yourself, if what you're trying to do is technical, is obviously a kind of a huge advantage. There have been some huge successes of people who succeeded in spite of not having those skills. So it just depends on how sort of good you are at the other things. The things I would say are that, first of all, it might be that you have to convince someone who is technical to help you. Like that in and of itself is a skill, is going to be useful, because convincing people is omnipresent in startups. You have to convince employees to join you for under market salary. You have to convince investors to invest. You have to convince customers to use the product. So if you're good at convincing, and if you can prove that you've convinced people to join a mission, believe in what you're doing, despite the fact that you might not be able to pay them, then it makes you look good in a fundraising round. And some people have made huge and successful companies with no technical skills by being good at other things. You could know a lot about a domain, right? And I can think of very specific examples where the entrepreneur worked, say, for 10 years in a very specific domain. They know exactly how that market works. They're not technical, they're not an engineer, they are a salesperson or some other part of the company. They know exactly how the industry works. They know everyone in the industry, and they know what's wrong with the industry. They know what the industry needs, and they know what their competitors are going to do or what they're not going to do. Like, those people have deep domain knowledge. People often confuse domain knowledge with technical skills. So, being an engineer makes you have deep domain knowledge, but you could have deep domain knowledge about the insurance industry. You just might know exactly how it works. And so I think, if you have either of those, either the deep technical skills to solve a problem in a novel way, or deep domain knowledge of an industry, which means that you know more than 99% of people do about how it works, or even 99% of people in the industry about how it works, then I think you've got a chance of disrupting it. If you have neither, then it's going to be very difficult.